I'll be very direct with you. I wish I could say the Mandela effect is not real, but it's not real in the way that a lot of people are explaining to us. Once you begin to understand that it's so your human brain. Okay, so let me just put this in a direct sort of statement for you. The human body is nothing more than a taxi cab. Your brain is no better than any other organ in your body. You might think that, oh, that's where all my intelligence comes from. No, that's where all the data is stored. That's where all the cross-reference processing is done. It's just a computer. It's just a meat computer. But it's a meat computer that the cognitive observer is aware of. That cognitive observer is an electromagnetic phenomenon that's produced by that piece of wet meat computer. But the actual user is living in your stomach. Now, in regards to quantum entanglement and, our relationship to the bacteria that lives in our stomach and the mitochondria in particular, it's no different than engineering and the bridge on Star Trek. So these incredibly, like basically the microbes that live in your stomach, and you're probably thinking, how could they be smart? They're single-celled organisms. They're totally single-celled organisms, but they are not functioning as a single mind. And we might say, oh, well, they're not intelligent. They don't have this and that. It's like, listen, they've got your damn nervous system. That's their whole interconnected network. They've got other cells that are like the cells in your body aren't working for the person experiencing the reality living in it. You know what I mean? Like the guy talking to you right now isn't the guy that's running this body. The person that's actually running this body is living in my damn stomach, and you're no different. So the kicker is, in regards to quantum entanglement, microbes have this ability to quantumly entangle. The ones in your stomach are better at it than any other one. That's the only reason why we're still here, is because those guys, every time you're like, oh, I got a gut feeling, that's because they're...
Let's talk about brain function and coexisting, literally coexisting with other people, but actually exist in other dimensions to some extent.
So this goes back to, this ties into your original question, which is basically the microbes in your stomach are constantly observing over the quantum horizon to see forwards in time, into entropy, to see when the host is going to die. So they're aware. So their desire to live and continue to find another host to replicate into, as a byproduct of their ability to look over. Occasionally, you'll get a warning in your gut from them, which is a lot of electrocatalytic, phenomenon taking place as they're forcing your body to produce the electrical signals that they need to stimulate your endocrine system, to flood your brain with specific chemicals to warn you about what's getting ready to happen to you. So you'll get a vision of what's going to happen to you. So they're also transmitting direct signals.
In other words, that would be like your intuition.
Yeah, your intuition, psychic ability, all that shit doesn't happen in your brain. It's happening in your stomach. Any sort of peculiar subroutine process or constantly mentally, obsessed on ideas are just a chemical loop of your brain trying to process something that your gut told you about. Any deja vus is just your brain suddenly having a peculiar electromagnetic trigger phenomenon of when they're showing, like you're looking at what they always look at. Like that weird deja vu thing, that's just them, leaving, like that's you, that's literally atoms of a particular, that's literally clusters of a particular hormone coming on lodge from a particular area and just bumping a receptor. That's it. That's all it is.
Okay, so in other words, we're accessing, because we're managing our gut flora, like say I do a protocol using sea salt once a month.
Well, here's the thing with that, is that all you're doing with the sea salt is you're balancing the you're putting salt into water, which we know produces electricity. If there's water in your gut with acid and salt, all you're doing is creating a much more alkaline environment for the bacteria in your stomach to basically produce more electricity, which creates more electromagnetic radiation, which makes other bacteria that aren't made of the same elements go through a caution phase and die. And in the process of that, while you're cleansing it out, you're just basically like microbes and viruses don't live well. Even when they take over a host cell, they don't live well, or I'm sorry, it's unhospitable to them, because of the simple fact that at the biological level, the necessary chemical receptors that are on the outside of the body that will protect you from those other harsh elements don't exist. And even when they do exist, they cause different molecular changes in within the cell to happen, that the viral cell that is all a virus is doing is just basically writing itself onto the genetic code of the cell, and then it's running around acting as an incubator for it. That's all that's happening. But when that incubator cell still has so many of the different molecular, structures and, signaling sequences and behaviors and functions to a certain degree. So when all of that, electricity and when all those electrons and protons are flying around and those different sort of micro electromagnetic fields are forming and the cells molecularly reacting to it, the virus that's living inside of the cell is not designed to do it. It's like someone having a box that you dump acid in, and then someone hiding in one of those boxes, and then one day someone dumps acid in the box, and then they can't get out of the box and they die. And that's pretty much that's not the best example, but that's pretty much similar. It's similar to the phenomenon that's occurring, where they're not designed to function in a normal, healthy, properly alkaline, clean body with really good, healthy gut flora. They're totally not designed to function in that. So, for example, when your gut's healthy, your gut is running. Your gut flora manages your endocrine system and other parts of your body. Your gut flora is managing, it's helping manage your heart, and it's also helping managing your physical brain. So these are technically the three brains you have in your body anyway. But the point is that one is producing the electricity, or it's moving the blood around your body so that there's a consistent transfer of oxygen, which is just moving electrical charges around. So basically you're looking at a situation here where when your gut flora is clean and good and functioning, this bacteria is going to feed the host more constructive and conducive information, and you'll have a much more clear perception of the things happening around you, because your actual brain is processing things, but at the same time there's a particular capped limit to the kind of information you can process and the amount you can process. And when the gut's working, that's all it's doing.
I've had you on the show in the past, and I want to touch a little bit on weaponized witchcraft, spirit cooking.
So, that's pretty much right back on the same subject, which is just that, basically what I'm understanding is that, or at least what I understood then, but I have a much more clear grasp of now, is that I'm going to say this. We've been really busy dealing with the whole, managing the whole pedophile situation and busting up, that human trafficking and so on and so forth. But even then, we were like, oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But I do not think people fully understand how right in the bed demonically the tech industry is in America. And I think the next layer of really dark, evil, crime against humanity stuff is going to come out of there, and we're starting to see it based on how they're behaving. Like they're showing us every day what's going on. But again, I'm going to say this, and there is a temporal manipulation component in play, because you're telling me that I'm going to put these tariffs up on China, and you guys better come back to America and start working. But while all this is happening, you've got everyone in the tech world like, no, you leave China alone, you're a crazy kook, Mr. President, or whatever. But then simultaneously, while all that's happening, all these people are trying to shift their markets into China. Google, Facebook, everybody. Amazon is living off of it. Walmart, living off. But not even so much Walmart, but just we're talking about the big tech industry, right? So they're all living on that paradigm of trying to be in that market space, so they're complicit. But now all of a sudden, that market has collapsed and they have nowhere to go. Like Jeff Bezos, 80% of their business, 80% of Walmart is China. Even though they tried to tell you that they were going to change that. and Lord knows how much, Jeff Bezos' money from Amazon is coming out of it. On the look. Let's see, just quick look here. What percentage of products comes from Amazon in China?
According to Quartz, just under half, or 47%.
47% of the products made for Amazon is coming out of China. So half of their thing is gone now. And getting back to that, listen, they're telling everybody, it's only about 24,000 people. You don't shut down a country of roughly 1.5 billion people because 24 people died from a cold. You don't do it. You don't do that. SARS happened, for God's sakes. And SARS, listen, up until 3 days ago, maybe even a week ago, SARS had double the numbers of the coronavirus. And they never stopped moving. China kept going. iPhones kept getting made, right? So now all of a sudden you're telling me that, just 800 people. I'm sorry, only like 400 people are, dead. Only about 2,000 people are infected. Listen.
Wow.
Here was my numbers based on science and based on just some quick little hardcore, quick study science. Of not their numbers, like just real, like looking, checking, doing some serious research for like 2 weeks. My numbers told me that they had already bodied 2.5 million people. And hold on. And on record right now, they were already quarantining 23 million people. However, if the numbers are correct, watch this. If the numbers are correct, and we're looking at what I just heard today from a Chinese billionaire who's living in exile in America, his numbers are this. Now this is his numbers. I don't know how he came to these numbers, but I know I had to use the scientific method to get mine of 23 million people quarantined, 2.5 million people already dead. His numbers are this. His numbers are 25 million people dead and 258 million people in quarantine. And they're burning, and they're round the clock burning 1,500 bodies a day in the crematorium.
Wow.
17-hour work shifts. So you don't shut a country down for a body count like SARS. You get what I'm saying?
So are they publicly having gasoline fires? Like,
that was something else that came out too. Was that there's basically bulldozed holes with gasoline fires, but bodies in them. Now somebody would freak out and say, "You're spreading rumors." I'm spreading what people are saying. And unless you're going to go and find a way to show everybody, the burden of proof is on you to prove that none of this stuff is true. You can't just tell us that's not true. You need to show us. The director of the WHO doesn't even know what's going on in China. They're still not letting them in. Still not letting them in. And then Trump comes out and says, "Hey, I want to give you guys all the help you can get." Meanwhile, they're like, "Nah, we refused it." Meanwhile, Mockingbird Media was saying Trump doesn't even want to help China, yada, 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 yada. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, he offered them on camera. I watched the video of him offering to offer them the help, any help they needed. He tweeted it, damn it. The guy tweets this stuff. So he tweeted he was willing to help them, and he offered them anything he could do. And the only reason why they don't want him in there is because they're like, no, we don't want you getting a sample of our bioweapon. Maybe going to try to use on you. We don't even want you knowing how to counter it. We don't even want you knowing how to counter it.
Without getting too political. Well,
I want to be clear. I'm not speaking with that statement. I'm not speaking from a political perspective. I'm speaking from a larger risk-averse perspective.
Well, no, I want to go even further with my research in regards to the contriving the poverty and homelessness in targeted regions here in the United States, where we have this huge huge population of homelessness now.